During the first 5 years that I worked with the church in Estevan, I almost burned out twice. And I don't mean that jokingly. I mean complete emotional breakdown. I was worn right out to the point where I didn't know what I was going to do. The problem is that when I first came here, I wanted to prove to everyone that I was a good worker. I wanted people to like me. I wanted to help out. And so anytime anybody asked me to do anything, I said yes. People said, "Would you help lead singing over at the nursing home?" I said, "Yep." People said, "Would you come and visit my great-grandfather in the hospital?" "Sure." Somebody said, "Would you come and speak at this event in another town?" "Why not?" Somebody would say, "Can you come and help with our vacation Bible school over here?" I'd say, "Sure." Someone would say, "Would you help me shingle my roof?" "Yep." 1,000 people said, "Would you come and help me move?" And I did that over and over and over again. Now, all those things are good things to do, but I shouldn't have been doing all of those things. What took me a long time to learn is that no is a valid answer. And I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Right now, these days, I'm talking to lots of people who seem overwhelmed by things that are going on, but strangely, it's not things that are going on in their own lives, it's things that are going on in other people's lives. But they have said yes to helping to carry those burdens. So they run into somebody who's really miserable and they take on their misery and say, "Yes, I'll carry that for you." And then they run into somebody else who has problems and they say, "Yes, I'll help you there and I'll carry this and I'll do that." And suddenly they're overwhelmed by everybody else's stuff. Just because there's a need doesn't mean you have to do something about that. Now that almost sounds wrong, doesn't it? Because we've been taught that we're nice people and nice people help and nice people go and do things. But you can only do so much. And by saying no to a few things, actually you do the things you do even better. When I was 21 years old saying yes to everything, I did a miserable job of everything I did. Nowadays, I say no to lots of things. Because I know if I don't, I won't do a good job of the things I said yes to. So when people ask me to speak somewhere else, typically I tell them no, because I want to do a good job of speaking in Estevan. I have learned to create some limits and set some boundaries around what I will do and what I will not do. I came across something the other day that I thought was interesting. A writer named Alison Fallon talking about setting boundaries and limits in our lives and why we're scared to do that. She said this. See if this isn't true. She said, "Setting boundaries isn't hard because people get upset or disappointed. It's hard because we get uncomfortable with people being upset or disappointed. Grow your tolerance for that discomfort and setting boundaries will become second nature." In other words, she says, it's our fear of disappointing people that makes us say yes to everything, but really, once we get comfortable with saying, "No, that's not what I'm going to do, I choose to do this instead," then we'll be better off. Now, if you are saying no to everything, if you're just living a selfish life that says, "I won't help you here and I won't help you there and I won't do this and I won't do that and I won't do anything unless it helps me," then this isn't your lesson. You already know how to say no. You need to learn to say yes. However, for most of us, the problem is we don't know how to say no. We don't have enough limits. We don't know how to say, "Well, I feel badly for you, but that's really your problem, not mine." Limits are not a bad thing. In fact, when God created the very first humans, he put some limits on them, didn't he? Think about the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve. When he puts them in the garden, he says this to them. It says in Genesis chapter 2, verse 16, "The Lord commanded the man, 'You are free to eat from any tree in the garden.'" You're free to eat from anything, but you must not eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat of it, you will surely die. You can eat from any tree except that one. the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Can't have that one. There's a limit around that. And that limit is good. Limits are not bad things. In fact, limits are helpful. You probably built a fence around your yard when you got a dog or when you had children because you wanted to make sure they were safe. Limits keep us safe. I want to be a person who's able to say yes to the good things that I can do. And when I say yes, I want to be able to do those things well. In order to say yes well, I have to learn to say no. You can't fix everything. You can't carry everything. You can't do everything for all other people around you. At some point, you need to decide what your limits are.